We're just 3 days away from the event that is Tom Brady taking on Bill Belichick in Foxborough, and the drama is heating up quickly. According to excerpts from Seth Wickersham's new book, Tom Brady wanted out of New England since 2017. Both Bob Kraft and Bill Belichick were very skeptical that Brady could play like he has at age 43 and beyond. And when Brady left New England for Tampa, Bill Belichick opted to talk on the phone as opposed to saying goodbye in person. And Wickersham's going to join us on Time to Shine in a little bit to discuss his brilliant reporting and his new book in detail. But it's pretty clear that it was time. And honestly, you can't be surprised. We talked about this at length on Time to Shine in 2019 and in February and March of 2020. Brady and Belichick made sweet, beautiful, unprecedented music together. It's the greatest dynasty in the history of sports. And it's a miracle and a credit to both that it lasted that long. But 2 decades is a long time for that kind of relationship. And look, I think Belichick is the greatest coach, best coach in NFL history. But he could have given Brady more input on personnel decisions, especially as Tom Brady was taking financially hometown discounts year after year after year. He could have treated Brady a little differently because he was the greatest of all time. Just like Belichick treated Lawrence Taylor differently from everyone else in New York. And Belichick, let's not forget, wanted to replace Brady with Jimmy Garoppolo. It all irked Tom Brady. He wanted something new and something fresh while simultaneously stressing winning and winning Super Bowls. And it's perfect for a next act in Tampa, while Belichick tries to stay afloat in New England, but never get it twisted or rewrite the history. The pairing was unbelievable. This was the greatest pairing in the history of the NFL. Both deserve appropriate and equal credits. But there's no doubt that Tom felt disrespected and wanted more done to win and to be appreciated more at the end. And in Michael Jordan style, he took it all personally, and he's going to let everyone know with his play on Sunday night. Cliff Kingsbury calls Matthew Stafford a freak show. The arm is legendary. It's a beautiful backdrop to the NFL game of the week in the non-Brady Belichick category. Matthew Stafford on fire to start the season. This was the vision when Sean McVay made the trade. Stafford has taken the Rams to new heights in their 3-0 start, and Stafford is playing like an MVP and has the numbers to prove it. Now, the Cardinals are 3-0 too, but the Rams 3-0 feels better and more dominant, whether that's fair or unfair. The Cardinals and Kyler Murray have a great opportunity to change the perception and reality with a win over the Rams. Kyler needs to match Stafford in terms of throwing, and also Kyler needs to run in order to win. Easier said than done, of course, against Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. But Arizona, make no mistake, is a complete team with dreamy weapons for Kyler and a defense that can certainly pressure Matthew Stafford. Now, I picked both these teams to make the playoffs preseason, and I firmly believe that. But I only view the Rams here with Matthew Stafford as a Super Bowl caliber squad. Just ask Cliff Kingsbury. Stafford is a certified freak, 7 days a week, and most especially on Sunday. Patrick Mahomes is locked in, and the NFL should be on notice. Mahomes is on an early season losing streak, and this is the equivalent of watching pigs fly, considering Mahomes never lost a game before in the month of September. Now, Mahomes was a bit too sloppy against the Chargers on Sunday. Starting 1-2 seems unfathomable, but it happens. And perhaps Mahomes is trying to do too much with the way the Chiefs are struggling on defense. And, let's also be fair here and make sure to give the Ravens and the Chargers a lot of credit for making key plays and key stops and creating turnovers when it mattered the most. However you want to spin it, KC is going to bounce back, and the Eagles are going to feel the wrath on CBS this weekend. Mahomes, still the most majestic quarterback in the game. Now, I'd like to see the Chiefs move Chris Jones back inside on defense to help Patrick Mahomes out, and no doubt Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce should dominate, But how about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who should feast against a terrible Philadelphia run defense? Jump off the KC bandwagon on your own risk. This team has flaws, but Patrick Mahomes is very much still Patrick Mahomes. We are thrilled to be joined by my guy, Seth Wickersham, ESPN senior writer and author of the new book, It's Better to Be Feared, coming out on October 12th. And Seth, the book is amazing. Takes a fascinating deep dive into New England Patriots dynasty and more specifically, the relationship between Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. How did Brady's lack of impact on organizational decisions eventually lead to him leaving New England?
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, that's a great question, and it factored in quite a bit. I think that the primary factor, I would say, was New England's refusal to commit to him until he was 45 years old. He'd made, very clear that he wanted to play until he was 45 years old, and the simple fact is that Bill Belichick thought that Brady was closer to the end. But there were some of the other issues that came into play that you're talking about. I mean, I think that Tom Brady wanted to be more than just a quarterback. He wanted to have some input in the offense. He wanted to have some input into personnel. He wanted to be treated like an astute mind of the organization and not just like an employee. And that was going to be very difficult to do in New England under Bill Belichick. And that's exactly what Tampa Bay gave him under Bruce Arians and Jason Light.
So with that said, was this divorce between Brady and Belichick a relatively long time coming?
I'd say yes and no. It began in earnest, I believe, in 2017. You just had a lot of factors at play there. The Patriots had just beaten the Falcons, won their 5th Super Bowl. And I think that Tom Brady and his business partner, Alex Guerrero, felt like things should be different. They had accomplished history together and that Tom should be treated a little bit differently. And, during that 2017 season, you just saw Tom venture into all kinds of new areas. TB12 book coming out, Tom versus Time documentary coming out. And then in the meantime, you had Bill Belichick, who was trying to kind of cling on to Jimmy Garoppolo there as a possible replacement for Tom Brady. Belichick ended up banning Alex Guerrero from the team playing him from the sideline, which caused a huge amount of acrimony. And Tom Brady said at one point in 2017, I don't want to play for Bill anymore. And he obviously skipped the entire mandatory offseason program. So his future as a New England Patriot was very much in doubt. Robert Kraft, helped it a lot. But, that was where it really began. And I think that if the New England Patriots had signed Tom Brady to a 5-year contract or so, right after they had beaten the Falcons, so much of the acrimony that came over the next couple years could have been averted.
Amazing depth, detail, and reporting there, Seth. That's excellent stuff. And much has been talked about and speculated about with regards to the final goodbye between Brady and Belichick. Take us through what sounds like an incredibly awkward end to a phenomenal partnership.
Well, it was awkward and it wasn't. I mean, we're at the onset of the pandemic. Brady goes over to Robert Kraft's house. Kraft is thinking that Brady is going to try to negotiate a contract extension just between the two of them. So Brady's saying that we're not going to continue to be here, to work together anymore. To Kraft for hours. And then my reporting shows that he wanted to meet Bill Belichick in person and try to talk to him about this in person and say goodbye. He was told that Belichick was unavailable. And so they ended up doing over the phone. And, it was a gracious conversation. Bill Belichick called him the greatest player the league had ever seen. But Tom later told a very close friend of his that he thought it was telling of how their relationship had deteriorated by the fact that they did it over the phone.
Where did Patriots owner Robert Kraft stand in this tangled web of tumultuous relationships and, of course, Seth, the pursuits of winning championships?
Yeah, I mean, he had a huge role. I mean, obviously, trading for Bill Belichick is probably the greatest trade in NFL history. But I think what he tried to do was keep it together. And because that was so complicated, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are very, very different people. And he had to try to keep it together. And I think that by and large, he did a masterful job at doing that. And he'll probably get into the Hall of Fame because of how well he did it. But it came with its challenges. There's a lot of coaches who felt like that Robert Kraft's willingness to hear Tom Brady out actually kind of made Bill Belichick out to be more of a bad guy to Tom because, Belichick wasn't as willing to do that. And Belichick almost looked worse by comparison. And then, of course, in 2018, Robert Kraft was leaving a conference in Aspen and he ran into some friends in the hotel lobby, and he said, I love being here and being with all of these brilliant minds. Now I have to go to Detroit to be with the biggest effing a-hole in my life, my head coach. Only he did not use the word effing, and he didn't use the word a-hole. So by and large, Robert Kraft did a phenomenal job of managing this, but it did come with some challenges.
Seth, you got the answer that I've wanted an answer to the question of why Malcolm Butler didn't play in the Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles, which to me, in moment, was wild and frankly irresponsible in terms of the win and the loss. So what can you tell us? Why did Malcolm Butler not play?
Well, I know why he was benched, and that was because he was sick. He returned to practice, and he's even admitted this publicly, that he wasn't as locked in as he should have been. Matt Patricia, the defensive coordinator at the time, was very down on him. They exchanged some heated words at practice, and he was benched. Now, why he didn't actually end up ever playing in that game, despite the Eagles, having their way with New England's defense for the most part, that I can't answer. But after the game, Malcolm Butler was at the team party, and teammates were asking him, what happened here? And, his response, sometimes smiling and sometimes between tears, was these dudes and these MFers.
And when you say dudes and MFers, he's talking about Belichick and he's talking about Matt Patricia?
He's talking about the coaches.
Amazing. Seth's new book, It's Better to Be Feared, The New England Patriots Dynasty in the Pursuit of Greatness, is going to be released on Tuesday, October the 12th. Advanced copies can be pre-ordered right now, wherever books are sold, and it is absolutely incredible. Seth, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoyed the game this weekend between Brady and Belichick. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell for more videos.